This is gonna be section 2.5 and it's solving linear inequalities. So far you've just done problems that look like this. So if you have 2x minus 3 equals 5, for example, you can easily solve this problem by solving for x. All we gotta do is just add the 3 over, get rid of that. So 2x is equal to 8. Then I just divide by 2, x is equal to 4. And we know that this is a solution because we can plug it back in there. We know that 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. 8 minus 3 is going to give me 5. So now, what is an inequality? So inequalities are not things that look like this. So this is an equal sign. Inequalities are going to be something completely different. So when we're talking about inequalities, you have a couple different types. So this is what we call a greater than sign. Greater than. We also have this sign that denotes less than. Okay. We also have another sign that looks like this, which means it's greater than or equal to. Okay, or equal to, and then we also have this one, and this one's going to be less than or equal to. Okay, so we can use these different types of inequalities. We have another one, which is what we've said is this is not equal to. This is also called an inequality, not equal to, so it's not equal to something. So for example, 3 is not equal to 2. That is a true statement that these are not equal to each other. 3 is greater than 2. This is a true statement. 3 also is greater than or equal to 2. It may not be equal to 2, but it is greater than. So that's also a true statement. 3 is not less than 2. Okay, that's not a true statement. Same thing as 3 is not less than or equal to 2. That is not a true statement. Okay. Is 3 greater than 3? Well, no, because they are equal to each other, so 3 cannot be greater than 3. However, this statement, 3 is greater than or equal to 3, this is correct because the equal sign there is there, meaning that this is a true statement. So inequalities are very useful to measure quantities. What is greater than another thing? One of the things that you can do with inequalities, you can do various different things. One of the things is write them in different types of notation. So when we talk about inequalities, you have two types of notations. So notation for inequalities. Okay, so you have two different types of notations. The first type of notation is the one that we're going to use the most, and that's what we call interval notation. Okay. The other type of notation is what we're going to call set builder notation. We're not going to use this one too much. For those that are going to go into trigonometry, you will use some sort of set builder notation on some problems, but it's not needed for this class. So I'm mainly going to focus on interval notation, so you can put a star next to interval notation. So how do you basically write this in interval notation? So basically what interval notation is, one of the first things that we can do is try to graph these types of inequalities. So let's say I have x is greater than 3, okay? So how will I go ahead and try to visualize this? So if I draw a number line, and here's a number line, let's say here is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Here are all the negative numbers, -1, -2, -3. So how would I denote the fact that x is greater than 3? Well, I know that everything that's greater than 3 is everything over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shade all of this. Okay, I'm going to shade this because that's all the values that are greater than 3. Now, when we think about 3, is 3 included in this case or not included? And the answer here is that it's not included because it only wants everything that's greater than 3. X cannot be 3 because 3 is not greater than 3. So you can do one of two things. You can do an open circle, okay? Or you can do a parenthesis, so you can write it two different ways. So let's say here's 3, you can write a parenthesis, right? That will signify that that number is not included. Or you can do an open circle, doesn't really matter, okay? Now, how would you write this in interval notation? Well, you start off by looking at the left-hand side and then going over to the right-hand side. So the first number that we are including or not including is 3. So that's what we're going to start with. Okay. Afterwards, we're going to add a parenthesis next to it because the parenthesis means that it's not included. It's 3 all the way until, and then it goes on forever. So what number does it go to? It goes actually to infinity. So we're going to go 3 to infinity. That is going to be the answer. That's how you write it in interval notation. Okay, so how would you write x is less than 4 in interval notation? Well, you can first start writing a number line. You don't need to write all the numbers, but let's say 4 is right here. Is 4 included or not included? 4 will not be included because there's no equal sign there. So we're going to write an open circle or a parenthesis. Now, what side are we going to shade? Well, since x is less than 4, everything that's less than 4 is everything to the left of it. So we're going to shade all of this stuff. Okay? That's how we start. Now, let's look at all this area. So the way that we're going to write it, we're going to start writing it by starting with the lowest number. In this case, the lowest number is down here. This is negative infinity. Okay, so it's going to start from negative infinity all the way until we get to 4, and we are not including the 4. And we're going to add a parenthesis. Okay, so just as a general note, infinity is never included. There's always a parenthesis there. So I'm going to write always a parenthesis around infinity. Oh, that's not how you spell infinity. Around infinity. Okay. All right. So let's do a couple more problems, and then we'll go to set builder notation. So write in interval notation. Okay, so let's say we wanted to write this number, x is greater than 4, and then x is less than negative 10 in interval notation. Okay, so you can try them out first if you want to, and then you can come back and you can pause the videos and then you can see what the answer is. So x is greater than 4. So first I'm going to draw a number line. 4 is right here. Since 4 is not included because it's a greater than sign, right, and there's no equal sign there, we're going to put an open circle. Everything that's greater than 4 is going to be all the way over here. Here's everything that's greater than 4. Okay, so what number are we going to start with? Where does this shaded region start? It starts at 4. Okay, since we're not including it, we're going to write a parenthesis, then a comma, and this goes off to infinity. Okay, so here's infinity. Okay, one way that you can always try to do is you can have a negative sign here, negative infinity, and you can have a positive infinity there. That way you can always check, which one is the positive, which one's the negative. Negative infinity is always going to be on the left-hand side. Positive infinity is always going to be on the right-hand side. Okay, so now what would this one be? So negative 10 is going to be somewhere here. I'm going to just write negative 10 somewhere there. Everything that's less than, now this one's not included because there's no equal sign. So it's greater, so we're going to put an open circle. Everything that's less than is everything over here. Okay, here is negative infinity and here is positive infinity. Okay, so this area starts at negative infinity. Remember, negative infinity does not have, as always, a parenthesis, all the way to negative 10. And this one's not included. Okay, and that is my answer. Okay, very straightforward. Now let's say we have something that is included. So let's say we had this problem. Okay, so x is greater than or equal to negative 7, and then we also have another problem. X is less than or equal to 100. I don't know. Okay, so how would you write something that looks like this? Okay, well, let's first start by drawing it. Okay, so -7 is going to be somewhere here. Here's -7. In this case, we are including the -7 because it can be equal to -7. So what we're going to do, instead of an open circle, we're not going to put a closed circle. Okay, so it's going to be closed circle. So it can be -7, and it wants everything that's either -7 and everything that's greater than. So everything that's greater than is going to be over here. Here's everything that's greater. Okay, and over here is positive infinity. So you're going to start off with -7 all the way to positive infinity. Another way that you can try to draw this is the following way. Here's -7. You can draw a bracket. A bracket, instead of a parenthesis, will signify that this is included. So the way that we write it in interval notation is that we start with the -7, that's with a bracket, and goes all the way to infinity. Remember, infinity does not have a parenthesis. Infinity does not have a bracket. It always has a parenthesis. Okay? You only have a bracket when the number is included. So what would this one be? Well, this one will be, here is 100. Let's say here's 100. 100 is included, so I'm going to put a closed circle. Everything that's less than 100 is everything over here. Okay, so this is going to be negative infinity. This is going to go from negative infinity all the way to 100. And 100 is included, so we're going to put a bracket. Okay, let's do one more problem. Part E. Let's say we have x and it's in between two numbers. It's in between 3 and 19. Okay, so how will you do something like this? Well, when x here is in between two different numbers, all we care about is what's in the inside of those numbers. So here is 3, here is 19. 3 and 19 are in the outsides and x is in the middle. So x is going to be one of the numbers between 3 and 19. So anything in here. Okay, now here this 3 is included because there's an equal sign here. So I'm going to put a closed dot. 19 is not included, so I'm going to put an open circle. So how would you write this in interval notation? Very simple. Bracket 3 all the way to 19, parenthesis. That's what that means. So all the numbers of x are between 3 and 19. That's all it is. Okay? So these are very straightforward. Notice that there's no infinity. Just to let you know, greater than and that's less than, and this is greater than. All of these have a parenthesis. Okay? Or an open circle. Okay, so anytime that you see these signs, you're going to have a parenthesis or an open circle. If you have a less than or equal to or a greater than or equal to, you're going to either have a bracket, so a bracket, or a closed circle. Okay, all right, and that's it for this video.